You know what they say. Another Fleambus, another challenge. This time around, I've elected to region lock myself in Elden Ring and randomize the items. As for what region locked means, essentially, I'm just trapped in a given region of the game until I beat every boss in that region, and then I can move to the next one. I left the enemies as they appear in the vanilla game to make the difficulty somewhat reasonable, but I still randomized all of the items. There's some mod configurations to make it a little bit less likely that I get soft locked. It might still soft lock me in some capacity. I don't really know. So we'll find out and cross that road if we have to. Oh, also, I'm doing this in hardcore, so every time I die, I'm re-randomizing the items. This means I will eventually defeat all, I don't know, 165, 167, 158, whatever it is, bosses in the game by the time the run is completed. Hopefully that clears things up. And let's get into episode 1. Another Fleambus, another challenge. I expected this to be fairly easy, all things considered, but I'm excited to find out how wrong I might be. With that out of the way, attempt number 1. Alright, so this is a 1. And this is also a not choosing this class. I do love those pants. Ooh. Okay. Oh. Well. Wow, the shields in this one. So. Yeah, I'm gonna click this for now. Let's see what these are. Lowers FP consumed by skills. Deathroot, Sacred Tear. Page. I guess this is the choice. And then we've got. I'm probably gonna choose Hero. I don't know, man. Eleonora's Poleblade. Yeah. Let's just go Eleonora's. Oh, I'm just one of the... Just pick one of these, I don't know. Milk. Let's choose milk. Alright. Very exciting. I'm looking forward to finding out how challenging this is actually going to be. I am fat rolling. That's probably the bow. Doing that. No, it's not. Can I get the bow back on? What if I lose these gloves? There we go. Sweet. So I've never done region locked before. I kind of have no idea what to expect. Other than the obvious stuff, which is an understanding of the rules, you know? Something I've been thinking about is that I don't really know what to do about Radon. Oh. Yeah, well, I am allowed to die to this guy. Same deal. Hardcore run, I'm allowed to die to this guy. Maybe I should die to him too, because isn't he technically in Liurnia? Yeah, maybe for the purposes of this challenge. Well, I guess he's in Limgrave. He's here. But you don't access him there. You access him from up here. I guess he's kind of in both. Well, all that really matters is that I keep the rules consistent, right? So for the purposes of this, dying to the tutorial boss is fine. Doesn't matter. It doesn't say you died on the screen. It doesn't void the hardcore. I can't get back to him without getting to Liurnia, so I'm going to consider him in Liurnia. Which means I should die to him. He'll be fought in the Liurnia section. Yeah, so what I was saying about Radon, I think you need 2 great runes to make him show up. Like the festival to begin, without doing like Randy's quest. So if you're not familiar with region locked, what it means is just that there are, there's a set of bosses in a particular area. So there's Limgrave, there's Caelid, there's Liurnia, there's Altus, which I always just call Lanedale, and there's Mountaintops. Technically, I think like the Halo tree is its own separate area. I don't think it's in Mountaintops. I don't know, but the core of region locked is I'm stuck here in Limgrave until I kill all the bosses in Limgrave. I can't leave. And then wherever I go next, I don't know how I should handle that. I guess maybe what I should do is say I'm not locked to an area until I kill a boss. The alternative would be not being locked to an area until I enter it. I'm not sure which way is better. For now, I'll say enter it. And if that seems like it's going to cause issues, then I'll change it. But I will explain myself when I change it. I'll say why. You will know. It'll be somewhere around the beginning of the episode. Oh, no way. Wow, Kale is stacked. Serpent Bow, Poisonous Mist, Renala's Full Moon. This is a really cool sword if my weapon wasn't great. It is. Wow. Do I have runes to sell? Not yet. Thing is, I'm so used to enemy randomizer now. The environment's pretty safe, but I've kind of forgotten where the normally threatening enemies are. So, like, I don't know how dangerous certain things are. I know that these bats are all early game bats. That I know. That is the Twinned Knight Swords. Just like in other randomizers that I do that are hardcore, I will be re-rolling the seed every death. There's no point in learning these item locations. It will change every time I die. So all of this is fightable. This weapon is really good. Like really, really good. I don't see any reason not to just lean into this. Let's get some runes. Shall we? Need what, 1,000 for the icon shield? I can't believe the icon shield showed up. Oh, it's been so long, I've forgotten the way I normally go about doing this. And it might get me killed, honestly. It's gonna be pretty awkward. I guess it's also worth mentioning I'm probably gonna have to pull up like a wiki or something to find out, just to verify that I've actually killed all of the bosses in an area before I move on. I'm not super clear on where all of them are. I've never completed a complete full all bosses run before.
Have you heard of the they serve but you?
I always leave like a dude in a random cave in Liurnia or something.
Then it's summon me
I'll have to verify somehow.
this way, tarnished. May I have a plan the will? I'd heard tant upon the talk thou art but to call for. I wasn't straight torrents. Tis a summon the spirit now, it is that. Forgive my
Noon. Yeah, so one thing, I don't think I ever really elaborated on the Radon thing. If I go to Caelid, I think if I go to Caelid second, I can't get to Radon. And then I've entered an area that I can't leave without doing all the bosses, because I can't get to all the bosses. And then I just kind of fail. So I'm not sure what to do about that. I guess I might have to do Liurnia second. The randomizer has a setting that forces the rusty key to be in Limgrave. I believe the Weeping Peninsula is considered Limgrave for the purposes of this. I don't know if Dragon Barrow is considered in Caelid. I don't know if the snowfields or whatever, the path to the Halig Tree area, is considered in the mountaintops of the Giants. Yeah, I think Mount Gelmir, I don't know if that's considered in Altus. So I'm going to be kind of making up the rules on the spot. And then I'm just going to follow them. The most important thing being, once I enter an area, I have to kill every boss in that area before I can leave. So if I get to this, Mount Gelmir or Altus situation and decide they're separate, I'm still going to be locked. I'm not going to do a boss in Altus and then go, you know what? Well, that wouldn't even help me, I guess. I don't know if I could even try to game my own rules. The point is, I'm not going to try to cheese my way around my own rules. That doesn't make any sense. And aside from dying, really, I think the thing that, right, there's normally a giant that jumps down right there. I forgot about him. Aside from dying to a boss, the only real threat is forgetting that I'm region locked and walking into another region before killing all the bosses in the one I was in before. One of the things that's different about this run than, say, a fully randomized run that I may or may not still be attempting is that in this case, I've kept the key items randomized to other key item locations, meaning I've just shuffled them around. That's to avoid soft locking. I don't know if it's a necessary step, but I was thinking about it, and if all of the Great Runes randomized to after Liurnia, I would have to do Limgrave, Liurnia, Altus before I could go to Caelid, because I wouldn't have access to the thingy for Radon. So I just thought, I'll keep them in key locations to reduce the odds of there being problems and make checks easier to do. Access to spells. Wow. And it doesn't even fat roll me. It's a pretty blessed seed so far. I would like this in an enemy randomizer too. That's okay. There is actually a semi-reasonable chance that this is a one-shot, where I just beat it first try. I have beat a hardcore randomizer before without increasing the number of enemies. I've just never even attempted something region locked before, so the region lock part is new territory to me. But I figure it's got a pretty reasonable difficulty curve to it. You can't just jump to a later area and get a very large amount of runes and then come back and sort of trivialize earlier fights. These guys are supposed to be here because there's no enemy randomizer enabled. For a second I was like, these guys are... the randomizer's broken. My randomizer brain is is the broken part, I guess. The randomizer bricked my brain. I really don't remember where normal enemies are. It's been so long since I've played Elden Ring without randomizing the enemies. I'm actually kind of scared. I don't remember where is threatening. Well, he's selling incantations now that I have a staff. This is good fashion. He's got a lot of good fashion that I really like here, actually. I want those things. Is rune 5 going to be enough to get any of them? One of them. Well, I'm probably going to want to throw on the heaviest armor I have access to. This, like, ups your spells, right? Glintstone sorceries. But I think the helmet I have on, I think Randy's does too. Might only be frost sorceries that are empowered by this helmet. Strengthens cold sorcery. Yeah. I don't really intend to do a sorcery build because I never have. It's just unfamiliar territory, and it's a weird choice to, like, try a new build archetype in a hardcore run. It's a good way to do it, I guess. Explore new archetypes if you like hardcore like me. Clearly I'm a bit of a hardcore addict. I just add it in wherever I can. I feel like any challenge you can just beat by grinding if you aren't hardcore. It could still take a lot of time and be really tedious, but you can kind of grind out any success in most video game challenges unless you have something like hardcore, some kind of permanent consequence.
Can you hear me? I at peace. I just
Sometimes that's fine. Not everything needs to be a challenge, right? I'm not some elitist in that regard. You know, most of the ARPGs I play on softcore most of the time. Hardcore is more of a novelty in those for me. I didn't hardcore my way through my first playthrough of Elden Ring or any of the Souls games, but I have gone back and completed hardcore runs in all of them except Dark Souls 2. I like it. It's very satisfying for me. The Witching Branch. Give me your bell bearing and give me something good. I'll allow that. I'll call that something good. That's pretty good. It's helpful. I think I can just go right through here now. There's no giant lobster here. How nice. Yeah, you know, I think this might be fairly easy. I did say that going in. There's a... There's always been this weird thing with Souls games where there's this back and forth between people that like watching challenge runners do challenge runs to be like impressed, and people that just like watching sort of like more like content creator type of angle stuff. I always think of Lobos. If you're somehow watching my video and don't know who Lobos is, you really just look him up on YouTube. Lobos Jr. He's like one of the OG Souls game challenge runners, and he pretty much made his career out of doing just ridiculous, absurd challenges in Dark Souls. Things like 1 stamina and not rolling and being over encumbered the whole time, and some of the OG challenges that people thought were impossible, you know, like level 1 fist only kind of stuff. And then he kind of did it all and got sick of challenge for the sake of challenge, and wanted to start doing runs that were not really all that hard, especially not compared to ones he's already done. And people who would watch his stream would get kind of frustrated with it because they're like, well, this is so much easier than this other thing, or you could make this so much harder by doing this. And it's this interesting thing, I think it's interesting, that he kind of had to like figure out how to move past this reputation of being like this insane challenge runner, which largely comes down to like he didn't want to do no-hit runs. No-hit runs are this natural evolution of like, what's the hardest thing I can think of to do in this? I know, I'll do the whole thing without getting hit a single time. Now I'll do all these games in a row without getting hit. And that's cool, but it's not for everyone, right? Some people just don't find the prospect of attempting something like that fun to do. So you're in this tough spot, I guess, when you're a professional streamer, YouTuber person, where on the one hand, your viewers are kind of your customer base, and when they say, hey, you know, don't change the formula here, don't change the recipe on this product that I love. But at the other, you know, end of the spectrum, like, you're an entertainer, so if you're bored out of your mind doing what you're doing, you're just not going to be entertaining. And people pick up on the fact that like your passion's dead, you're not interested in it, you're just doing it because you feel like you have to. You know, when it starts to look like and feel like you're clocking into a 9 to 5, people are not going to be too pleased with the stuff that you're putting out, because you're going to seem like you don't want to be there. And so you have to balance that. You have to figure out, you know, what's a good mix of what people want to see from me and what I actually want to spend my time doing. And it's hard. I think everybody goes through it with content creation stuff, be it, you know, I mean, this has been going on since way before the internet, right? This is a rock star thing. It's like, oh yeah, here I am, I'm a rock star, but I want to put out an album that's in like a totally different genre, and then all your fans hate it because it sounds nothing like your other stuff, and then the album doesn't sell well, and you're like, ah, right, I've been pigeonholed into one thing, and now I have to do this for the rest of my life if I want this to continue to be my career, or I have to abandon all of these fans and people and lose a bunch of money and hope that I develop an entirely new fan base for this other thing. That's scary, you know, redefining yourself as an artist is scary. And it's been happening forever. I mean, TV actors trying to get into movies always struggle. Comedy actors getting into dramas usually works out pretty okay, but it can be hard to be taken seriously when you shift like that. And I think the same thing is true of internet content creators. As much as people are bashful about referring to content creation as like an art form, it has a lot of the same attributes to it, you know? It has a lot in common. It is a creative medium, and if you start making money off of a creative medium, it's really hard to shift. I think there's been a lot of situations where YouTubers are like passionate about one thing, but it doesn't work, and then they try something else and it catches on. So they're stuck doing this other thing that they don't really want to do, that they're not passionate about. That's a scary scenario, I think. That would be hard to deal with. It would almost feel like all of your fans are fake fans. You know? Like everyone that likes what you're doing doesn't like you. Because it wouldn't feel like you.
Very well, let my hand.
Anyway, all of this is to very roundabout say, I call this a challenge run. I think it's more challenging than playing the game as the vast majority of people do, right? You're allowed to die, you go wherever you want, whenever you want, you beat however many bosses you feel like. Ta-da. There's no restrictions. This obviously is harder. I've put restrictions on it. But it's also easier in some ways. The item randomizer makes region locked easier. I could have randomized enemies in the regions. That would have been harder, you know? And it's a slippery slope, I think. You can always make this game harder. And you put your own rules on it. I could say this run is a 1 health, 1 stamina, no upgrades, fist only, region locked. Every enemy in the game is Elden Beast. And I'm rotted and poisoned, you know? Well, that would be impossible, I guess, with 1 health, but you get what I mean, right? As long as you're modding and you're putting your own rules in, it's like, you can make it borderline impossible. And that, as far as I'm concerned, would be pretty cool to see somebody do, and probably very miserable to actually attempt. I'm not really interested in making myself miserable for the purposes of videos, you know. And then I've heard things like this referred to as a fun run instead of a challenge run, right? Don't think of it as a challenge. Think of it as fun. I autopiloted into Caelid while I was talking. Oh, man. So here we go. So this is it. So I haven't done any bosses yet. Let's go ahead and say I'm not region locked until I do a boss in the area. All I did was like get round table hold access. But I also got whatever that gold item was. What was the gold item I got? It was this. So whatever. Right? We can be reasonable. I should see about doing some bosses though. This beast man will be easy. Yeah, on the fun run thing, people took to calling them fun runs, and that does feel a little bit like almost kind of downplaying it. For me, a fun run would be like disabling the restrictions on summoning and then using Latenna to beat every boss in the game. The Latenna run would be fun. I don't think it would be particularly hard, and you know, I would allow respawns and something like that, but it's not a normal run. It would, you know, it's I wouldn't call that a challenge run. I don't think it's challenging necessarily. I haven't looked into what that might take, so maybe it would be super hard. I don't know. The point is, the conversation around it gets pretty toxic and people get really weird. And I wish everyone would chill out a little, you know. But it's good, I think, to be clear with what my intention is, because if you guys understand what I'm trying to do, you're not going to get upset when it's what I do. You know? You're not going to be underwhelmed when you realize this isn't all that hard of a run, because I'm not selling it to you as this insane achievement. It's so hard. Be impressed. Nah. You don't have to be impressed by this. It's fine. I would hope if it takes like 200 attempts and they're all really obviously hard, that it would be somewhat impressive, I guess. But like, if it's easy, then it's easy. Don't be impressed if it's not impressive. It doesn't really have to be anything more than that, you know? Oh, he stands up kind of quick. Wow, I think that was the bleed proc. Bounce. Alright. One down. Miranda powder. Sure, I'll warp out of here. Nox Swordstress armor. Fashion. Let's go. Wait, that's going on like now if I don't fat roll. Fat rolls me. I think it looks cool though. It looks a little weird without pants, but oh, I have veterans armor too. Is that what I picked up that was gold? Was it veterans armor? Oh. I'm gonna try not to use or equip whatever I picked up from stepping into Caelid there earlier until I actually go to Caelid, so I can keep the spirit of the challenge alive a little bit better. I did accidentally autopilot in. I knew that would happen. Okay. There's a boss in Limgrave Tunnels that's easy. Okay. Here's a little strategizing for you. Down in the Fringe Folk Hero's grave, that ulcerated tree spirit in there is pretty hard. I don't want to deal with him yet. The Knight's Cavalry here is pretty easy. This boss in the Stormfoot Catacombs, most of the catacombs, all of the catacombs, unless you want to count the Fringe Folk Hero's grave as a catacomb, they're all pretty easy. This cave is super easy. Boy, Darrywill is easy. This pumpkin head is easy. The dragon in the lake is probably on the harder end for Limgrave. Oh yeah, there's all the underground areas too. I guess I would region lock myself to these as well. I don't think I would consider Siofra River to be in Limgrave. Or Ainsel River. They're attached, but they're separate areas, right? Deep root depths. That's cool. I always forget about those zones. What else would be hard in Limgrave? Roderick is free. Margit is free. The Cathedral Knight, or whatever his name is, that's Dark Souls 3. I did it again. Crucible Knight. Free. I think there's a Deathbird. It's pretty easy. The Knight's Cavalry in Weeping Peninsula is pretty easy. Leonine Misbegotten is free. I don't remember which boss is in this Impaler's Catacombs. This is a Rune Bear. That's annoying. So I'll probably just try to get some upgrades before the annoying bosses. And yeah. So we're gonna get back into killing bosses now. Let's see. We'll go for this catacomb next. Just need somber ones, really. Right? Yeah. 1 and 3. Oh yeah, right. Randomizer brain. Like, oh, if there were enemies here, they'd be obvious. Nope. Not so. Golden 3? That guy. It's one of the multi-layered ones. What are my arrows? Lightning Bone and St. Trina's. St. Trina's are worthless. Come on down. Come on down. No. How about now? No? Okay. I'll come back for him later. Wait. Yeah. We'll just come back for him later. That's fine. Oh, it's this one. This could kill me. Well, not really. I have a bow. Blue beam. Commander Standard Smoldering Butterfly. Oh, blood loss. Wait, why did that come up? Why did that come up? Who hit that? Did my riposte hit that? From like here? Oh, there's like 3 more. I died! Alright. Well, that's embarrassing, but there you go.